Matthew Futterman, Players, The Story of Sports and Money and the Visionaries Who Fought to Create a Revolution. Step into the world of sports and discover the intricate stories and the players who fought for control in the book Players, The Story of Sports and Money and the Visionaries Who Fought to Create a Revolution by Matthew Futterman. This summary will take you back in time when professional athletes had little power or financial security, and explore how the tables turned. Witness the impact of pivotal figures like lawyer Mark McCormick and the battle led by Marvin Miller, on behalf of the Major League Players Association (MLBPA). Delve into the stories of athletes like Catfish Hunter and the evolution of sports training through innovators like Nick Bollettieri, as well as the groundbreaking marketing of stars such as Michael Jordan.
Athletes rise to power. In the past, professional athletes had little money or power. Owners controlled everything, and athletes rebelled against their monopoly. This began to change when Cleveland lawyer Mark McCormick represented Arnold Palmer, and athletes began to gain more control over their careers and financial security. McCormick's success transformed the way athletes do business, leading to exploding salaries and a rise in power and influence. The rise of athletes' power. The summary highlights the journey of Jim "Catfish" Hunter, a former player, who despite being a successful pitcher insisted on fair treatment. Hunter's demands brought about significant changes to salary structures in professional sports, starting from the American League in Major League Baseball. The story dates back to 1965, with Hunter and other players seeking to gain more power in labor negotiations with baseball team owners. They recognized the need for new leadership in the Major League Players Association (MLBPA), and offered the position to Marvin Miller, who was the senior economist of a powerful steelworkers union. Under Miller's leadership, MLBPA underwent transformational changes and became a force to reckon with in the league. The owners wanted to undermine Miller's work, which led to a lack of funding for the union. However, Miller's brilliance helped earn a deal with Coca-Cola for printing players' images on their bottle caps. With this, the players received enough support to keep the union running. Miller also renegotiated the contract of players with Topps baseball cards who were paying $125 to players for putting their pictures on the cards, but under Miller's influence, Topps agreed to pay players royalties on each pack of cards sold. This newfound power and unity among athletes eventually led to better pay deals with the teams, and players gained more control over their careers. Breaking the shackles. Baseball's reserve clause had bound players to the team they first signed with for the entirety of their careers, with no room to negotiate new contracts and no freedom to move to other teams. However, after much negotiation and hard bargaining, the MLBPA contract underwent a significant shift. If a player's contract defaulted, they would become a free agent, and any team could hire them. This was a momentous breakthrough, with the owners having no idea of the potential ramifications of such a contract, despite their laziness and arrogance. This dramatic shift only occurred because of many years of fighting, which ultimately untethered baseball players from the shackles of their contracts. This tiny step gave birth to the freedom for players to make their choices and made the reserve clause a part of history. Catfish Hunter's contract battle. When Catfish Hunter asked for a partial salary deferment for tax reasons, A's owner Finley agreed but then refused to sign a necessary document. Hunter's attorney demanded that Finley put his refusal in writing or face breach of contract. Hunter ultimately became a free agent, sparking a bidding war and setting a precedent for player empowerment. Despite pressure from the league and Finley, Hunter stood his ground and ultimately won his case through an outside arbiter. How free agency changed pro sports. The Hunter decision in 1974 broke the wall of unanimity among owners in opposition to players, making him baseball's first free agent. The Yankees signed him to a 5-year, $3.5 million deal. Today's system reflects the subsequent 1976 collective bargaining agreement. Players spend 2 years on reserve, have 4 years of salary arbitration eligibility, and become free agents after 6 years. The Hunter decision changed pro sports, and free agency overtook both football and baseball, allowing teams to buy greatness as players earned more. This led to other big changes, with younger athletes dedicating their lives to a pro career, sacrificing school, family, and friends. Now, baseball is an $8 billion business with a cable network and a web company. Clubs grew in value, and nobody lost money from free agency. At the heart of McCormick's ideas was a simple theory: sports were about the athletes, and especially the stars, and today's sport still reflects that. Bollettieri's tennis revolution. The story of Nick Bollettieri, an innovative coach who changed the game of tennis by introducing intense training and specialization at a young age. Nick Bollettieri is a former Marine who in 1961 took over as head of tennis at the Dorado Beach Hotel in Puerto Rico. Bollettieri believed in the importance of hard work and determination, seeing tennis as a clash of wills where the most determined player would always be victorious. He discovered a talented young player named Brian Gottfried and kept him on the court for hours on end, helping him become one of the world's top players. Bollettieri's innovation lay in his belief that young players should immerse themselves in tennis and consider school a secondary pursuit. Prior to his approach, young athletes usually lived at home, attended school, and tried to lead normal lives. In contrast, Bollettieri's idea was for young athletes to live and train together in specialized facilities, so they could face strong competition and improve their skills. This was a revolutionary concept that saw competitive parents sending their children to live and train with Bollettieri, a stranger to them. In summary, Bollettieri changed the game of tennis by introducing young players to specialized training and intense competition, viewing tennis as a battle of wills where only the most dedicated could succeed. His radical approach paid off, producing some of the world's top players and inspiring a whole new generation of tennis players. Bollettieri's tennis revolution. Nick Bollettieri, a tennis coach, changed the game with his unconventional training methods. He coached young Jimmy Arias to play with a new open stance and hitting style, which eventually led him to beat stronger and better players. Bollettieri's pupils included top tennis players like Andre Agassi, Serena, and Venus Williams, among others. He insisted that his students hit hard all day and compete even harder. Bollettieri's reputation grew, and he bought a motel and tennis complex with more land to train young players. Bollettieri's academy now trains youngsters in different sports, such as tennis, golf, baseball, soccer, basketball, and football. The competitive environment at his camp prepares players for the pressure of the professional circuit. Parents send their kids there, willing to give up their normal lives in hopes of fame and money. The rise of Michael Jordan and Nike. The story of how Michael Jordan became the face of Nike through the visionary marketing strategy of Sonny Vaccaro is told in this book excerpt. In this book excerpt, we are introduced to Sonny Vaccaro, a small-time businessman who had an idea for a new basketball shoe. He went to Nike to pitch his idea, but they were not interested in the shoe. However, Nike executives were impressed with Vaccaro and his marketing skills, and they hired him to market their shoes to high school and college students. Vaccaro's strategy was simple yet innovative. Rather than selling directly to the students, he urged Nike to market their shoes to the coaches, knowing that college athletes generally did what their coaches told them to do. This approach proved to be a huge success for Nike, as by 1981, around 80 college basketball teams were wearing their sneakers. However, college stars would often switch to competing sneaker brands once they became professionals. That is where Michael Jordan comes in. As Nike's executives were trying to decide how best to use their $500,000 endorsement budget for the 1984 NBA draft, Vaccaro suggested that they give the entire amount to Michael Jordan. This was a bold move that would change the way athletic marketing worked forever. The decision meant that Nike would build every ad campaign and the identity of their company around one player, Michael Jordan. And so began the rise of the legendary partnership between Jordan and Nike. Jordan quickly became the face of Nike, with every billboard, television commercial, and magazine advertisement carrying the theme of Jordan is Nike, and Nike is Jordan. The success of this strategy was immense, and Jordan's partnership with Nike became more than just an endorsement deal, he became a partner in the company. In 1987, Jordan signed his second contract with Nike, which guaranteed him $18 million over 7 years and a 5% royalty on the sale of all Jordan model shoes. The visionary marketing strategy of Sonny Vaccaro and the partnership between Michael Jordan and Nike would go on to become one of the most successful and legendary stories in the world of sports and marketing. Nike, from production to marketing. In 1992, Phil Knight, the founder and CEO of Nike, admitted that the company had shifted from being production-oriented to marketing-oriented. Nike had been known for making the best athletic shoes, but now the focus was on using the product as a marketing tool for the brand. This statement marked a significant change in Nike's strategy, and it proved successful in the coming years. Today, Nike is one of the most recognizable brands globally, with a loyal customer base and a vast array of products in its portfolio.
From humble beginnings to the era of staggering salaries, the book players. The story of sports and money and the visionaries who fought to create a revolution unravels the relentless endeavors of individuals who transformed the sports industry. The MLBPA's fight for players' rights, the introduction of free agency, and the revolutionary training academies changed the landscape of sports forever. In addition, the unforgettable personalities like Mark McCormick, Catfish Hunter, Nick Bollettieri, and Michael Jordan played crucial roles in shaping the modern sports world. This summary reveals the sheer determination, passion, and visionary thinking of these trailblazers who blazed a trail for future generations to come.